Weird rules sellers and Pawn Stars are made to follow. Hey guys, welcome back to Film Zone. Pawn Stars propelled the Las Vegas-based Gold and Silver Pawn to fame and glorified the ins and outs of what would otherwise be a fairly standard store. There have been plenty of copies and spin-offs, but none have compared to the original show. Rick Harrison and his associates are frequently tasked with appraising items and deciphering exactly what's real and what isn't. That's never an easy thing to do, and surprisingly, most of that burden relies on the seller. In fact, there are quite a few responsibilities placed on the seller which aren't accurately conveyed on the show. While the network makes it seem like people simply come in unscheduled off the street to peddle their peculiar wares, that's about as far from the truth as it could possibly be. Selling things on Pawn Stars is about as complicated as it gets, and it's a very far cry from pawning things in more traditional shops. In this video, we take a look at the rules Pawn Star sellers need to follow. Stay tuned. But before we start, why not subscribe to the channel? Turn on the bell for the latest notifications and updates so that you never miss a video. With that being said, let's jump straight into the video. Signed items need to be certified. There are several rules listed on the Gold and Silver Pawn website that prospective sellers must know about. Notably, the rules state that all signed items need to come with a letter or certificate of authenticity. This is strange because the Pawn Star guys have encountered more than their fair share of fakes over the years. In fact, deliberation regarding a product's authenticity is often half of the show's content, so knowing that it was most likely already deemed to be authentic from the get-go is sort of disappointing. They only buy limited edition artwork. This may come as a surprise given how much artwork the gang has been hanging around the pawn shop, but Gold and Silver's claims to only buy limited edition art pieces. This means that they likely won't deal in reprints or anything other than an artist's genuine work, which is extremely rare to come by. Sure, a reprint of Van Gogh's Starry Night can be found just about everywhere and isn't worth a whole lot, but we can be sure that the original will never see the inside of Gold and Silver Pawn Shop. With this rule in place, it would seem that the art is pretty much a no guy, but the guys actually deal with it quite often and both on and off the show. No antiques. This next one comes as a major shock to most viewers, but the Pawn Stars don't actually deal in antiques. Well, that's not entirely true. They buy and sell small antique knickknacks all the time, but according to their website, they won't purchase antique furniture. They claim to lack sufficient space for it, which is understandable. Some of the stuff can be pretty large, and there's only so much real estate on the showroom floor. That said, if something particularly priceless comes through the door, it's hard to imagine Rick, Corey, and even Chumlee just letting it walk regardless of the rules. No vinyl records. Vinyl may have had a small comeback among those who claim to love authentic sound of needle scratch, but the gang by and large simply won't buy records. This is likely to prevent the content of an attic or basement cleanout ending up in their showroom, and it's very true that while records can hold sentimental value, even the semi-rare ones aren't going to be worth a whole lot. Now, if the record is signed, that's an entirely different story, but as previously discussed, it will be on the seller to verify that the signature is authentic. No collectibles. This seems to be another rule that the Pawn Stars break all the time, but their website makes it clear that they don't deal with Beanie Babies or any other collectible commodities of that nature. This seems just a tad strange, as things like baseball card collections and other assortments or rare junk appear on the show fairly regularly. Again, this rule is likely in place to prevent someone from showing up at the door with hundreds of stuffed plushies in tow and dollar signs in their eyes. Whole collections are often hard to sell, and more importantly, the original owners usually tend to want way more than their prized collection is actually worth to begin with. No modern firearms. The next one seems like a strange rule given how much World War II memorabilia the gang deals with, but they do explicitly outline that weapons manufactured later than 1898 cannot be sold in their store. This may seem like an extremely strange and arbitrary circumstance, but Nevada state law actually dictates what counts as an antique piece of military history and a functional dangerous firearm. Again, it seems very likely that the guys behind the desk have skirted the line and bought some questionable ex-military stuff, but given their strict compliance with the law, it seems like they've never actually purchased anything that they shouldn't have. So these were some of the rules sellers need to comply with. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.